All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I had to make a video to shout out this brother Whitlock because so many of the pro-blackity blacks and the wokety wokes and the black liberals, they love to give this dude a hard time. But as I've stated, I believe that this show, Speak for Yourself, is the best sports talk show on either network. I've said that for a while. And the main reason why I have not used it as backdrops is because Fox Sports 1 gives me more issues when I try to use many of their programs as backdrops for my speaking points than ESPN does. But I stated that I'm going to start using this show more because their conversations are on a far higher level. But just getting back to the point, I have to give this brother credit because out of all the pundits on either network who spoke about the Kawhi Leonard free agency situation, he was the only one who called it exactly how it went. And the reason why he called it exactly how it went is because for the most part, he's a three-dimensional thinker. Meaning what? He's not a fanboy that leads with his emotions. A lot of these dudes that you see on these panels, they're nothing but fanboys with laptops. That's all the NBA writers are. They're just a bunch of fanboys. Behind the scenes, they're friends with certain players or certain general managers. And it clouds their understanding of what's going on. And that's why they're so erroneous when it comes to being able to prognosticate exactly what's going to happen. Brothers have to grasp that when you're not a fanboy, when you think like a man, when you think according to a three-dimensional perspective, it gives you insight to the point where people will start to believe that you're a seer or a prophet, when in all actuality, you're just someone who's able to assess what's going on around you. And you can piece things together component by component and come out with an answer or a deduction that's going to go over the heads of most people. So let's just pay very close attention. This episode here aired on July 5th. And after Rick Bucher, Marcellus Wiley, and Jim Jackson gave their predictions of which team Kawhi Leonard was going to sign with, Whitlock decided that he was going to go against the grain, and not just for the sake of attention mongering or for the sake of going against the tide, but because he understood that something had to be rotten in Denmark for it to have taken Kawhi Leonard so long to pick a team. And that happens a lot of times. Like, you ever see some of these situations where a woman has been espoused to a man, or as they say, engaged to a man for a very long period of time, and for some reason she's not ready to have the actual ceremony? You know why that is? It's because somewhere in the back recesses of her mind, she's hoping that the guy that she's actually in love with will call her up and take her from that man who she's engaged to, because she does not really love that man. In the same way, the reason why Kawhi Leonard took so long to decide or to declare which team he was going to sign with is because the team that he wanted was the underdog, that being the Clippers. It would have been a far better decision, or a far more reasonable decision in the minds of the fanboy media and the public, for him to either sign back with the Lakers or maybe go back to Toronto had the Clippers not been able to pull off that trade. But because he was waiting and hoping that the Clippers could pull off that miracle, he was able to sign where he wanted to go. And as we're going to see here, Whitlock is going to come to that same deduction, that the reason why it's taken so long is because Kawhi wants to go to the Clippers, and he's hoping that they can pull off their end of the deal. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
There's a reason why they call me Big Sexy. Big mouth, sexy and big. I was given that name years ago. And so y'all took the...
This dude said they call him Big Sexy. Maybe at Hooters, where he runs up about a $2,000 tab, and who the hell knows?
Safe route, the Toronto Raptors. Safe route. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm prone to do. Clip City, Chip City, Clippers. I'm going to tell you why. And this is what leads me to think that. Okay. I think if it were Toronto, why not already have announced it? I say if it's the Lakers, AD, LeBron, why not have already announced it?
And you know what the shame of it was? Kawhi Leonard and his team, they were so diabolical. They were actually using these thirsty fanboy members of the media against themselves, like Chris Carter. This dude was making a complete ass of himself from 6:30 to 9:30 every morning, trying to act as if he was the plug for Kawhi and his team. I spoke with Kawhi. And his manager, and they're letting me know they have not made a decision. They asked me, what do I think? I said, you should sign with the Lakers because I'm a LeBron James fan. I mean, that's the best place for Kawhi to sign. Yo, you couldn't tell Chris Carter that he was not the plug in this situation. He was so happy. He was even talking about how he wants to be this generation's Ahmad Rashad. For those of you cats who don't know, Ahmad Rashad basically made his name in the NBA world in the early 90s, being so closely associated or affiliated with Michael Jordan. There was a time period where Ahmad Rashad was the only reporter that Michael Jordan would speak to, especially during that time period where the gambling allegations really started to hone in on Jordan. Ahmad Rashad was the only person that he felt like he could trust. Chris Carter really thought that he was going to be the Ahmad Rashad to Kawhi Leonard. And all he ended up being was a way to dispense false information out to the public. That was so embarrassing. And then Chris Carter ended up not even being the person who broke the story. Chris Haynes broke the story. So they played Chris Carter lovely.
I think all of this delay is trying to give Jerry West and the Clippers a chance to throw a Hail Mary. Can they, in the next 24 hours or all this week, can they find a second player to trade in for and put a deal together that makes sense for Kawhi?
That was a hell of a take, man. Got to give you credit, bro.
To come to the Clippers. I think the delay has been about giving Jerry West and the Clippers a chance. And then when I see this...
Look at Marcellus Wiley. This dude... Oh, boy. This dude's smiling like he got the big piece of chicken.
That's me going out on the limb.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I like the theory.
Oh, Marcellus Wiley said what he said. You know, Marcellus Wiley, he's a Clipper fan. And people who are part of a fan base of a franchise that has been moribund for a long period of time, they'll take anything. Being the lovable loser becomes a part of their personal identity. So after a while, they're not quite sure how to deal with the possibility of success. It's so foreign to them. You also see it with the Cleveland Brown fan base with Johnny Manziel and Odell Beckham. It's like, what do we do now? We have all this talent on our squad. Now it's going to be even more pressure on us to win.
Sounds good. This sounds good. That part. Big sex.
And as we also just heard, Jim Jackson, he bet a bottle of scotch with Whitlock that Whitlock's prediction was not going to come true. But I think that they were all kind of shocked and surprised, not only by his take, but how much sense it made. Even though it was, you know, it was going to be a dark horse take. But were it to come true, he would appear as a genius. And as they say, fortune favors the bold. So once again, congratulations, Whitlock. Great call. So peace.